fucking hell, we've become the kind of assholes who stand out protesting with megaphones. Look at this.
The internet is regulated in this country is a much bigger joke than Count Dankula's silly little pug.
So that when Janaya received death threats for criticising Islam, the police told her this could be avoided by keeping her mouth shut.
Hey guys, basically we're just going to march to Downing Street right now in defense of free speech. I am so excited. I'm with Ashton Birdie. Hey Ashton. So yeah, basically we're just going to walk down to Downing Street. Loads of people have showed up to support Count Dankula. I mean, you know, at the end of the day it turned out pretty well. He isn't going to prison, which I am really very happy about. But, you know, let me just show you the crowd. He still has to pay £800, which we're going to do everything we can to crowdfund for that, because obviously we don't think it's okay. The appeal is also going to be very expensive, and being a law student here in the United Kingdom, I know just how specific hate crime laws are. So it's very unlikely that whatever happens, he is going to be able to win. But I'm just so excited to see that so many people have taken time out of their day, out of their jobs to be here and basically to march for free speech. Look how big the crowd is. There is quite a lot of people. Ashton obviously has to take a nice selfie. There is no mainstream media, obviously. Everyone's just independent or working for like Breitbart and stuff, so that's exciting. Also, there were only Antifa spotters, so no Antifa. I'm not getting called shitty Lauren Southern or shitty Tommy Robinson this time. That makes me really happy. But what this, okay, you can see how many people there are, guys, and more are coming. Like, this is really big. There's a lot of like recognizable faces. There's Simple, there's Ashton Birdie, Ali Z, who's running for mayor.
Mayor of London 2020. Who's got a lighter?
Looking for a lighter. There's quite a lot of people, so that's really great. Obviously Dankula is in Scotland. I wonder how the Scottish protest is going. I'm sure we're a lot bigger and better, just because we're in London. But as you see, we're in the center of the city. Let me just show you. We're literally in the center of the city. And we've blocked an entire street for marching for free speech. These are people fighting for free speech, people who actually care about the world that we live in and people who care about their country. And I just wanted to show you what the police is doing, guys. This is the police. The police is basically just like going in front of us and essentially like blocking part of the street so that nothing happens. You can see there's loads of people taking photos. There is no mainstream media. Let me remind you, there is no mainstream media. So if you guys want people to see this, just how passionate we are about freedom of speech, because that's not something that the media wants you to know, then you have to share it around, guys, seriously, because otherwise nobody will know. I mean, there is Simple here, there's Ashton Birdie. Ashton can't even live stream. So if you guys truly want the United Kingdom, Europe to know just how much we care about free speech, share this, because normal people aren't going to see this otherwise. There is nothing we can do. We don't have access to mainstream media. And forever, free speech. Fuck the real fascists, guys. Share this if you hate the fascists. I give everybody who wants permission to download this video. Just say it's from Opinionated European, my Twitter. Download it, share it around, put it on YouTube, wherever you want. Because obviously there is no mainstream media who are going to report on this. So if people want to, or they're going to report on this and completely change what happened. So if you guys actually want the world to see how passionate the British people are about freedom of speech, then it's 100% up to you. I love you guys.
I love you.
Well, I do.
I love you guys. I love you guys. You're welcome.
Alicia, get out of my shot. Alicia, get out of my shot. Sorry.
Yeah, press.
The UK is marching for free speech. Look at this. Look at all these people who came. All the people who came.
Right, okay. Right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. This is the moment you've been waiting for. Here we have the speeches.
So there is a question on everyone's lips. This question is so controversial that just asking it is to brand yourself an outsider, a dissident, and a rogue. The question is about one of the most controversial speeches ever given in this country. It's a question with implications so grave that some consider it a monstrous thing even to think about. The question...
Keep it serious.
Silence. The question is, was Enoch Powell right?
Yes. Yes.
The short answer is, how many stabbings make a river? Yeah. Well, you've got to answer it. But the long answer is the answer to one politically incorrect line that Powell was quoting from one of his constituents. In this country, in 15 or 20 years' time, the black man will have the whip hand over the white man. I notice you've all gone fucking silent after I said that. Fucking told you. As we have seen, to the eternal disgrace of the government's handling of the Windrush scandal, this has not happened. But something similar has. Our black Commonwealth cousins who came here 50 years previously have integrated very well, because they have come here to be British. Powell's constituent was right to worry, but as the events have shown in the recent furor of police indifference to a British lady called Janaya English, even being black is no defence. The British government did not place the whip into the hand of the black man. It placed it into the hand of anyone who proudly declared themselves to be anything but British. Our institutions are obsequious to any identity that stands apart from our own, so that when Janaya received death threats for criticising Islam, the police told her this could be avoided by keeping her mouth shut. And like any British person should, instead of being cowed in the face of tyranny, Janaya stood up to be counted among the ranks of those of us who could endure this no more. All of this is a question of identity and values, because the former is defined by the latter. The British identity is grounded in our ancient traditions of liberty and tolerance, and all other identities that we exist in this country must also be so. We did not need black people or Muslims to have ethnic tensions in this country. This country is built on ethnic tensions 1,000 years old. Between the English, the Irish, the Scots and the Welsh, and all the subdivisions thereof.
Absolutely, yes. Fuck yes.
Yeah, you don't bring anything new here when you come over going, oh, well, I have something different. Yeah, we know. These tensions synthesized themselves into a British creed that all identities, all beliefs are permissible, and it is the harm that is punishable, and that harm can only be done by action and not by words.
Actions speak louder than words.
These identities and values matter. It was the identity of Muslim that allowed the men who formed grooming gangs to enact religiously sanctioned campaign of assaults against children, targeted for their ethnic characteristics. White and Sikh girls were targeted because they fell outside of the Muslim identity and therefore warranted no moral consideration. What the men convicted of these crimes did falls directly in line with our definition of a hate crime, and yet they were not charged as such. It is one rule for one and another rule for another.
No rules for some.
This is not an acceptable state of affairs in a liberal democracy. All citizens should be treated without distinction by the state. In order to fulfill Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream of a world where people are judged by the content of their character. To do anything else is to encourage the proliferation of nefarious elements in society. People who earn their stations in life through means other than hard work and decency. It confers on a certain group a set of privileges not enjoyed by the rest. This will breed resentment of the kind that eventually brings out guillotines. Hate speech laws are incubating something very dark and very angry in this country. Tommy Robinson is not a racist, he is a warning.
Yes.
Every time I meet Tommy Robinson and we walk around the streets, you see the same thing. Rough, working class men spy him, they look around, and when they think they're in the clear, they go up to him and shake his hand and say thank you for everything you are doing, and then walk away like nothing happened. This happens multiple times when I see him. This is a problem.
Yeah.
This is what happens when people are treated like second-class citizens. These people are not racists, but they are reacting to the perceived source of their oppression. It is not that the government has criminalized racism through the combined zealotry of the political class, but not just that, in fact, that they have they have criminalized legitimate criticism of an ideology that is not liberal, not tolerant, and places itself in direct opposition to the identity of the British. But they have gone even further than this, and they have now criminalized humour. Ron Liddell made a joke about the Welsh in the Sunday Times, about how a bridge across the Severn connects Wales to the First World. A very good joke. This aroused the ire of the North Wales Crime Commissioner and numerous other Plaid Cymru idiots with cries of hate speech.
Build the wall instead.
The politically correct inquisition against Ron Liddell shows us that we can no longer even have banter between the constituent ethnicities of the British Isles. And if we let this continue, the United Kingdom is lost. Ethnic jokes serve one purpose: to diffuse ethnic tensions by normalizing the differences between ethnicities. we are not free to offend one another. We are not free to make the kind of ethnic jokes that strengthen the social fabric of this country. Without the freedom to offend, we create a series of armed camps, each watching the others for any signs of transgression, both obsessed with defending the honor of their respective tribe. This can only divide a country by setting us apart from one another and making us strangers to our neighbours. We need the banter to keep ourselves grounded and maintain this United Kingdom. And unless we scrap all laws prohibiting insult and giving of offence, the problems we are facing will only get worse. Free Count Dankula, thank you.
My name is Helen Dale, and I'm a columnist for The Spectator. I suspect a lot of you read my column about the Count Dankula case. And I suspect it's probably the first column from The Spectator that a lot of you have read. Please subscribe, it's a nice magazine. And it pays us well. I am aware that it is the House Journal of British conservatism. And I am also aware that my party, the Conservative Party, has grossly let down the side of British
What Conservatives don't exist?
I wish to make 3 brief points. The first will concern guilt by association. The second will concern saving Scottish banter. And the third will concern changing the law, by which I mean Section 1, subsection A of the Communications Act 2003. Let me return to the first point, guilt by association. This morning I got a disturbed message from a friend of mine in my constituency association saying, "You're going to be sharing a stage with Tommy Robinson. You can't do that, it looks bad." To which my response was, "I'm sorry, ideas don't become wrong because of who believes in them." Just because some of the people who believe in a thing that you believe in, and also believe in a thing that happens to be true, as Sargon has already pointed out, Carl, I'm not sure which he prefers, has already pointed out, it happens to be true. It doesn't become untrue because somebody strange starts to believe in it. That's the first point. The second point, Scottish banter. I used to be a solicitor up in Scotland, and I became very familiar with Scottish banter. It is very funny. Scottish people are very funny. Their humour is one of the great gifts that Scotland has given the United Kingdom and the world. It is the reason that Scotland has produced people like Billy Connolly and Frankie Boyle. Even in the Scots law of defamation, there is a specific carve-out for the Scottish tendency to take the piss.
Laugh at ourselves.
say, Scottish banter, it's worth it. It's probably as valuable as the Scottish Enlightenment in the long run.
Minor details.
Finally, changing the law. Section 127 of the Communications Act 2003 was a reenactment by the Blair government as part of their many laws. More laws were enacted in 13 years of Labour government than had been enacted in these islands from 1066 to 1997. However, when they enacted that law, it was a reenactment of an earlier 1935 law that was meant to criminalise people who made telephone calls in the middle of the night and did heavy breathing down the phone. Hence the public communication device. Telephone call. It was also meant to stop people calling the emergency services, ringing 999 and saying that Granny was having a Watusi on the living room carpet when she wasn't. So you didn't have the NHS sending all the ambulances out for nothing. But it is now the principal means by which the internet is regulated in this country is a much bigger joke than Count Dankula's silly little pug. There is another part to this that is also very disturbing for anyone who has practiced law in Scotland, and I will try to describe it briefly. In England and Wales, it is possible for the police to bring prosecutions. I was talking about this to some of the officers from the Met here earlier. In Scotland, it is not. In Scotland, prosecutions are brought by the Crown Office and Procurator Fiscal Service, because Scotland has got a Roman law criminal system. That's why the name is so strange. What was done here in Scotland involved Police Scotland trawling through the country's very small Jewish community to try to find a complainant, because they could not initiate action of their own motions. What it means is that more police time will be wasted, particularly in Scotland because of this procedural difference, but also in England and Wales, where police can bring these prosecutions of their own motion. It costs time, it costs money, it wastes resources. We know there have been funding cuts. We know that the Met boasts about its 900 hate crime officers and says that, oh, we're not going to worry terribly much if you get your bicycle nicked. As someone who has had her bicycle nicked, I can assure you it's considerably worse than being called a nasty name. In conclusion, guilt by association needs to get in the bin. It's nonsense. Scottish banter is worth saving. And section 127, subsection 1, section A, needs to be repealed.